Hello, my friends. Assalamu alaikum. The author of The Grand Scheme of God in the Light of Quran has divided God's scheme into 11 stages for the purpose of understanding. We have already covered 7 stages. Today, we will be addressing the 8th stage, that is, third phase of Judgment Day, Nuzal. That is the initial feast. I will now explore ChatGPT's objective perspective on this stage. This analysis aims to provide a clear, unbiased understanding of the Quranic description of this stage. Let's begin. The 8th stage is third phase of Judgment Day, also known as Nuzal, that is, the initial feast. There are 19 verses of Quran which have been used by the author to describe this stage, that is, third phase of Judgment Day, also known as Nuzal, that is, the initial feast. All these verses were shared with ChatGPT. The following are ChatGPT's conclusions. It states, these verses provide insights into the third phase of the Day of Judgment, known as Nuzal or the initial feast, where the final outcomes and rewards or punishments are introduced. Here is a breakdown. Number 1. Paradise as the initial feast for the believers. The righteous are promised a welcoming feast in paradise, a place of eternal bliss where they will find everything their hearts desire. Angels will greet them, assure them, and share the good news of their reward. This initial celebration serves as a joyful beginning for their eternal life in paradise. These conclusions are drawn from chapter 41, verses 30 to 32, chapter 3, verse 198, chapter 7, verse 32, chapter 32, verses 18 to 20. Second point, hell as the initial feast for the disbelievers. In stark contrast, those who denied the truth and committed wrongdoing will be greeted with torment in hell. The initial feast for them includes eating from the tree of Zaqqum and drinking boiling water, an agonizing introduction to their punishment. This reflects the consequences of turning away from God's guidance. This conclusion is drawn from chapter 18, verse 102, and chapter 56, verses 47 to 56. Point number 3. Everlasting consequences. The fate of both the blessed and the wretched will last as long as the heavens and earth endure, indicating an eternal state of reward or punishment. However, God's will is ultimate, and He may alter outcomes based on His wisdom. This conclusion is drawn from chapter 11, verses 106 to 108, and chapter 6, verse 128. Point number 4. Intercession and accountability. Each person is accountable for their own deeds, and only those with the divine covenant may receive intercession. Those who concealed the truth for personal gain or broke divine covenants will be distanced from God's mercy, receiving no purification or communication from Him on that day. This conclusion is drawn from chapter 74, verse 38, chapter 2, verse 174, chapter 3, verse 77, and chapter 19, verses 86 to 87. Point number 5. Regret of disbelievers. Those condemned to hell will experience deep regret, wishing for another chance to disassociate from misguided companions and the worldly desires that led them astray. But once judgment is passed, they cannot escape the punishment, facing eternal remorse. This conclusion is drawn from chapter 2, verse 167 and chapter 5, verse 37. Point number 6. Paradises and Divine Mercy. For those who remained steadfast in worship and feared their standing before God, the Quran mentions multiple paradises, symbolizing a bounty beyond human comprehension, emphasizing God's mercy in rewarding the righteous. This conclusion is drawn from chapter 55, verse 46 and chapter 55, verse 62. In essence, the initial feast or Nuzal highlights both the joyful reception in paradise for the faithful and the dire consequences in hell for those who rejected faith, underscoring the finality and justice of God's judgment. My friends, with this stage finishes, and now I will see you with the next stage sometime soon. Assalamu alaikum.